Da er vi tilbake igjen med vinpraten i del 2. For vi ble ikke ferdig med første. Welcome back, or we have been here for some minutes,
Thank you.
but we have changed a little bit scenery about wines.
Yeah.
And it was a nice half an hour, 40 minutes last time, and I said to you that then you talk a lot. You
I
have
do.
lots of meaning. So as we told in the last episode that the people who are attending to visit, they have to take time, 1 hour, if something happened, because there's a lot of, because Norwegian is become a good market for you.
Yes,
You're happy to be here. You would like to buy a cabin if you would,
I
or
would.
rent one. Yeah. But you're not moving to Norway yet. But this episode here, we talk about a little bit of future. We're going to go a little bit outside of the winery. We're going to talk about what could happen in Piemonte, because Piemonte is like Germany. It's like it's Riesling, like Nebbiolo. We're talking about the same grape. In Norway, we taste a lot of Barbera. They are not so much talking about whites, sparkling, and they are nothing talking about Dulcetto. So that's the backbone of this episode. But first of all, you started at 13 years old. You're coming into the winery. There was free alcohol. It was, it was fun. Probably a lot of good stories about that.
Yeah.
But then you grow up. You delivered. Your father delivered the winery in 2017 to you and your sister. And you become married. Your sister get married. Children is coming in. Dogs are coming in. Everything is coming in. The next time is maybe you have a van, maybe.
That would be amazing. No, yeah.
But it's coming, yeah. But you're getting older, But still, you're still young. But what do you think will happen? Because I say that Piemonte is like Germany. Riesling is 99% of the sales in Norway about Germany. And in Norway, it's the Barbera and the Nebbiolo, who is the beggar. But what do you think about other types? And we're going to taste your sparkling. What do you think the potential for this year in last episode of climate and so on, what could consider? Because could we see an area which coming about new wine styles who could become better because of climate, and older version, like the Barolo, could be made differently, but with other clones or whatever. But could it come up something else from Piemonte in the future? If you're taking 15 years ahead and some good energy from people.
I do think that there will be a little bit of a revolution on some, especially on grapes, and definitely on the style of wines. So you talk a lot about Barbera and Dolcetto. Those are two varieties that are changing a lot in these years, and they will change a lot in the future. Barbera has been predominant in Norway, but in many markets and in Piemonte as well, because Barbera is very resistant to cold temperatures and to mildew, and it's just a better grape to grow in cold Piemonte. But in hot Piemonte that we're seeing right now, Barbera, it's having a little bit of a hard time because it becomes extremely alcoholic, very juicy, very big. So it's not as elegant as it could be. While Dolcetto, that has always had a hard time with mildew and humidity and cold weather, it's having a great time. It's a rising star again with warmer temperature, not as much mildew, not as much rain. Dolcetto is actually coming back. So I do think, for example, between these two varieties, we'll see way more Dolcetto in the future, because it's just because of the style of the wine being more elegant, more approachable, more playful, flowering. It's very beautiful variety, and also because of the climate. And the same things we can say about sparkling and white. Piemonte was always the land of red wine. So especially when you went a little bit high in altitude, like for example in the region of Alta Langa, it was only hazelnuts. There was no
It was only Nugatti.
Yeah, only Nutella, nothing else, because it was too high to grow red wine, and everyone was focusing only on red wines.
Yeah.
And when you're 700 meters of altitude, you can grow Nebbiolo. But then, step by step, people start planting again other varieties like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay that are meant to be higher in altitude. They're meant to be acidity. They're meant to be for a sparkling base.
Yeah.
So when we started with Alta Langa in 2010, we were around 10 producers. Now we're around 60 to 70s in the consortium of Alta Langa.
Yeah.
So it's a project that has been extremely fascinating to follow. And I think in the future it can only grow even more. And we'll see more and more around, because nowadays most of Alta Langa is sold within Italy, probably within Piemonte, but we'll see more and more around the world because many Barolo producer and Barbaresco producer are focusing on Atalanta, on having a sparkling and white wines. Same happened with Arnaz. It was mainly just... Arnaz has been a good example because it was mainly just on the Roero region, but then a lot of people in Langhe start thinking about Arnaz. Same happened with Timorasso. Like many white varieties been kind of rediscovered during the past years, and I think they will be main character for the next 10, 15 years.
Do you think that Barolo will have a white Barolo in the future one time, or it's too political disaster to say it?
I think it's a little bit politically incorrect to say it. It's difficult to have an equal.
Yeah.
I do think if it's white, probably has bubble in it.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Okay. But do you think that all the talks about the climate, all the talks about the getting hotter and so on, will make hard decisions, but necessary decision to grapes to keep wine styles? So as you mentioned, the Dolcetto is a better wine in the hotter climates, and the Barbera is not. That means that you're going to change grapes. If you say, okay, if this continues, we have to change some vineyards to other grapes because I don't want to make that kind of wine. So, for instance, a Nebbiolo would make, or Barbera would make. Do you think that would be an idea? Not that you have decided, but have you ever thought about that?
I think probably the first thing would be changing areas. So changing the site. Like we were used to plant Barbera fully south facing, lower altitude to get as more sun as possible.
Yeah.
Now probably if you want to make a good Barbera, you got to go high in altitude and maybe have a west facing that just gets the afternoon sun or east facing.
Or you're finding new vineyards.
New vineyards.
Yeah.
So you're moving up or moving different, not fully south, moving different exposure to the sun that is not as aggressive on the vineyard, and maybe on the full south, plant vineyards that are actually good and resistant to heat. So maybe changing parcels a little bit could be the first step. And then, of course, we will need to consider what we are growing. Hopefully, my hope at the end is that we will kind of slow down what's happening, because otherwise it's very concerning. But I think...
But you're not negative to the changes, because you have done a lot of things in winery from the body in 2007 and today. So you have done lots of things. It doesn't change this normal day.
Yeah.
But if you go the path and say, okay, my children, my legacy, my will be something that this will be maybe a little bit bigger. The hospitality have to be bigger than 5 rooms.
Yes.
Because you need to do something there. You have to be something. The swimming pool could be a little bit more than, but of course, but hospitality is important thing to the total package, because the world, as you know, is getting smaller. You have more friends in Norway than you have at home in the winter. So we're going to take into the little bit tasting of them. Of the sparkling wines now, and then we'll go to the Dolcetto. But I have followed your love and life for some while, and I have to ask it: how much have he influenced yourself and your sister's attitude to things?
Yes, changed a lot. I met Carlo.
We have to tell a bit about him. Yes, not the I'm in love with.
No.
But just the basic.
The professional side of it.
Yeah, you can mention that he's from a big family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Carlo Mondavi, it's my husband, which is the grandson of Robert Mondavi, which definitely changed the world of wine in California, in the world, I would say. And so definitely being able to be part of that family has influenced me a lot, for the good, of course. I think it's always good, no matter which one is your profession, to get inspired by other people. My father always told me the best thing is to copy from who is doing it best. So to get experience that part of the world of wine and try to get the best out of it has always been amazing. It's been amazing to see his passion for wine, and he works mainly with Pinot Noir out on the Sonoma coast. And at the end, Pinot Noir and Nebbiolo have a lot of similarities. So to just be able to talk a lot about it, see what they are doing in the vineyard, in the cellar, how they are adjusting to climate, which has been probably even bigger of a concern there because of the fire and everything that has happened, and be able to bring it home, bring that experience home, and become a better winemaker has been amazing. It has been good to see someone that, Robert Mondavi when he was in his late 50s. So to me, when people say, "Oh, you're young, you just started, how is that?" I'm like, well, there is time. Christopher Columbus discovered America when he was 41, so we have time.
No, I just see that because I knew about him before I knew about Brandini, and I saw the connection. Suddenly, he walked into a restaurant when I visited you. What happened here? And then suddenly it was love. How did you meet?
We met in Napa because after I graduated university, I spent a summer there to learn a little bit about American winemaking and visit wineries and just see what was going on in that side of the world. And we met there in summer of 2017 and just been doing back and forth.
And when do we move to Italy permanently?
That's a good question. You should ask it.
Yeah, okay. We can have a vote for that. But going back to Piemonte and so, but just to mention that his winery is very good. It's very good wine. I'm following him on Instagram, and his Instagram account is called what is it called?
He has his personal Carlo Mondavi. He has rain, and he has
but
things.
He's often talking with the herbs. And it's fantastic.
Talks to the birds.
And he looks like a movie star, so that's good.
He does.
Yeah. But back to you. We're going to taste the sparkling. And why don't Norwegian drink less Prosecco and taste more of this?
Well, that's a good question for everywhere, but definitely Prosecco has been an amazing marketer of sparkling, and he has been on the forefront of sparkling Italian wines. They just had, they've been amazing in promoting, in being around the world, and I think they deliver a product that it's very friendly for the consumer. So it has been very fun to see how successful it has been. But I do think there are some other sparkling champagne method, which is very different than Prosecco, happening around Italy. We saw Franciacorta having a great success. And I think nowadays is a little bit the time for Alta Langa to shine. Alta Langa did start pretty recently, like it's not until the 90s.
Because the wines are very fruit-driven, and concentration are there. Is a green apple things, but the concentration. And then they have a little character of mineral. But it's like drinking a white wine with a little bit of sparkling, not so much, but just intense. So whatever you think of Prosecco, this is 100%, 200%, 300% different.
Yeah.
But it's not champagne. It's not a Cremant. It's something unique, and it's fruit-driven. But its money is in making this wine. How did you? It's a lot of work to do. It's more work than normal wine. Yeah, but people are not paying so much because this is non-expensive in Norway. It's huge, very good to food because of your famous acidity. But how could people discover that wine to food? What's your go-to when you have that kind of food here?
I think the uniqueness about Alta Langa compared to other sparkling is that it really represents Piemonte, I think. It's really terroir-driven. And on this term, the DOCG has been extremely strict. So it always must be vintage, which is very unique. It must be minimum 30 months on the lees. We do 36. It must always come from the little region of Alta Langa. So it's always this wine is a real good connection with the soil, with that area of Piemonte. And it's the area that goes from the famous Langhe towards Liguria. So it's the beautiful combination because it's still the rich Barolo soil, plus extreme altitude, plus you're in the middle between the Mediterranean and the Alps. So you have a beautiful microclimate to grow grapes. So I do think every time I smell this wine, it does smell like home to me. It has that like toasted nuts. He has a lot of fruit. He has a lot of complexity, and he has this fine bubble. So I think it's a sparkling that you can definitely have on its own as a aperitivo, but it is sparkling that it's very gastronomic. It's perfect with food. Yeah. And it pairs very well with our food in Piemonte. our cheeses, our charcuterie, prosciutto, and
It's a kind of go-to to everything, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, it's easy. And of course, when it's hot, it's beautiful.
perfect.
Yeah. But this episode will not be so long as the last one. So we're going to go to the dolcetto. And we mentioned that maybe 25 times this episode and last, so that Barbera is a Norwegian country. And we mentioned that dolcetto make it great again.
Yeah,
And after your opinion, that you mentioned that when it's getting hotter, the dolcetto achieving more.
yes.
And is that it is only the best thing that happened that it's getting hotter, or is kind of coming to a peak point that to you have to be very careful that it can't be hotter, or have the climate change your father don't have issues today that you are seeing the weather report every morning, every evening, everything what's happening is going to be a storm.
Yeah,
Big issue when you or your sister talk. I don't know, but probably it's about the weather every day.
yes,
Yes,
it is.
yes,
It's kind of boring. We only talk about it.
okay.
But I do think we're reaching a peak for everything. So I hope it does stabilize in the next years. But I do think right now Dolcetto is having a good time. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of Dolcetto vineyard in Lange. That's the problem. It's only kind of Indiano and Dogliani, which are of course the Dolcetto villages, and you see very few because for the majority in Lange it's just Nebbiolo. So it's good to, if you can find some older Dolcetto vineyards, I think they're beautiful and they are having a good time with this climate. And I do think Dolcetto, it's just a beautiful wine because you can have it with food, without food. It's the everyday wine. It's what my grandparents will have on the table every day because it doesn't require big food and it's just playful and it's light, it's vibrant, it's bright. So it's a very beautiful wine. Do you think Norway will ever change his passion for Barbera towards Dolcetto?
We have to talk about it for some years, and then we have to have an attack on Barbera vineyards. We're going to destroy all of them, and then we take over Piemonte, and then we make the Solte great again. So we're going to have we're going to have a Trump thing going on. Just
A little bit aggressive.
I don't know, but what I think is, of course, as everything else in life, it's a historical background, and one of them is money. And you mentioned in the first episode that in the 50s, everything was happening in Piemonte. They were poor, everything was lost, and today you have a better car than your granddad had. Everything is better. We have Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and everything. And that means that money moves faster, but also impression. So you are getting famous or good impression in Norway fast than Gaia did. It takes 10 years to make Gaia great in Norway.
Yeah.
And now you've done it in 4 years, and then you have points so beautiful. But what I think is that Barbera and Nebbiolo is marked early as money driven. So you are deciding what to plant. If I give you, we have 15 hectares in a good position, what would you plant for the future? I think your answer will be not Barbera, but other grapes. Yeah, maybe a diversity of grapes, but Dolcetto is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
And, when you have money running a company, you have to consider what the market is, what you're selling today, and slowly change if you see if you change going ahead or buying land or sites.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that the property of for the boat is 5 times more expensive now.
Yeah.
And that's, does mean that you have you have to sell more wine and even add more money in to buy new properties. I think replanting is a good thing. But Dolcetto is a hidden treasure. And in this episode, we have taken forward the sparkling, which is very good, tasteful, beautiful, but easy drinking.
Yeah.
Not like a vintage champagne, but definitely not as a Prosecco. And then we have the Dolcetto that is one of the best in Norway. This is a little bit still young, the wine. We have talked about decanting.
Yeah.
Be aware that this is probably better in a bigger glass. This is better. So make it time. But there's also a wine who could easily take in the cellar for many years.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think you're going to, in the future, need to store more wine because now you have customers in Norway who loves your wines. You have, maybe in some years you live here, but you have your...
Well, if the weather keeps going like this, maybe we'll make wine in Norway. So Who knows?
We can. And back to the donkey. It's died.
Yes, the dog is not with us anymore,
Yeah,
unfortunately. But we have chickens now.
chicken guy.
Yeah.
But you're going to call him Thomas, or the family,
We have
chicken,
we
Thomas
have,
family.
we have many, so
Yeah.
he's definitely got to be dedicated to one, and we have more. So we have open names.
That's good to hear. But until next time we see, maybe in Piemonte or here,
Hopefully.
I'm so happy that you're coming to Norway. So happy to see that it's vibrant. And I love to come to visit you on motorbikes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers. Salute.